See right now is through 2027. The extension through 2036 has not been has not been exercised, I guess is the right way, signed, whatever. In other words, they were saying as part of their argument for wanting to get out of the ACC, they don't have any guarantees after 2027 that ESPN is going to be funneling up all this money. And of course, they also pointed out that to get out of the ACC, to get out of the contract, the price would be $572 million as it stands today. $572 million, which they argue is absurd. And that's part of their argument in the lawsuit. Again, I didn't go to law school long enough to figuring this out. I only took the LSAT. So I guess I was a potential lawyer for about 4 hours. And then after getting my score back and having the score laugh at me when I got it back, I realized I wasn't going to make it in the legal profession. So it's a deep and complicated story from the standpoint of all the legalese involved. But the bottom line is, Florida State threw down their spear today, right in the heart of the Queen City, where the ACC offices are now located, and they're saying we're going to sue. We are suing. They have filed suit down in Tallahassee. The ACC is countersued there in North Carolina, and of course, they want any suit, any legal action to be heard in the state of North Carolina, because that's where they are located, and that's where the documents were authorized. So we'll see where this all goes. And what does it mean for Clemson? And what does it mean for North Carolina? It was Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina who were the three programs to vote against ACC expansion, voted against bringing in Stanford, Cal, and SMU. So, but here's the other question that needs to be answered. First and foremost, where are you going to go? You certainly don't want to become an independent. And do you have an invite to the Big Ten should you break free of the ACC? Do you have an invite to the Big 12? Where would you go? The SEC apparently seems pretty well set with their 16 right now. So that is the other question hanging over all of this. You might get your freedom, but where are you going to go? Independent status, I just can't see that happening. I don't think in the case of a Florida State, and certainly not a Clemson, you got to have a major television contract, or what's the use? You're not going to make that money back that you're walking away from, even if it's not enough that you think you're not getting enough from the ACC. I mean, the ACC in their new expanded contract with their new expanded league is talking about paying in the neighborhood of about what, 35, 40 million per team, maybe a little bit more than that. Can you get that on your own if you're Clemson for a football network, or if you're Florida State, if you're football for a football network? I mean, I don't think you can. I don't think you can. But we'll see what happens here. It's certainly going to be interesting time here over the next, well, it might not even be something resolved in the next year. We might be talking about this in 2025 and beyond, because it doesn't seem like this process is going to be expedited in any way. So that is some of the big stuff on this Friday going into the holidays. So welcome in. Phil Kornblut, Pat Daniel, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. If you're headed out and about for your holiday travel, please be safe, and please have a great weekend and enjoy your holidays with your family and your friends. And I hope you eat a lot. I hope you get fat, and I hope you get the gifts that you're looking for. I hope you come back looking like Tiger Bryant. That means you've eaten well. If you come back looking like Tiger Bryant. Now, I've never really seen a picture of Tiger Bryant. I'm just going off what I imagine Tiger Bryant looking like. And it ain't Burt Reynolds like. Okay? So I want you to come back kind of looking like Tiger Bryant, which means you ate well and you had a good time over the holiday. We got basketball going on, South Carolina and Elon, and Clemson and Queens. Couple of games that just have gotten underway at their respective arenas. Colonial Life Arena, Little John Coliseum. We'll keep you up to date on those games and other games. We've got a college bowl game tonight. It's Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech playing. Who's Georgia Tech playing? You remember? Georgia Tech's playing somebody. I remember looking at it as I was starting to put together our pick'ems for the bowl season. Georgia Tech's playing tonight. We'll check on that in just a little bit. So, with all that said, tonight we're wide open for your phone calls, along with some recruiting and George Bryan the third, birdies, bogeys, and biceps around South Carolina at 7:30. So we are here on this Friday night going into the holiday weekend here for you. We are here to serve you. If you're tired of shopping, if you're tired of, and I say this with deep love and affection for all family members, please understand where I'm coming from. But if you're tired of family for a few minutes, you want to get away and do something for yourself, well, give us a call. 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. And we can get you in without too much of a delay. In fact, why don't we go ahead and jump to the phone calls and hear what's out there, and we'll catch up on some other things in a little bit. We got plenty to talk about. So, Pat, as soon as you can get me lined up here on the phones, we'll go ahead and jump to the lines.
We're going to jump over to Swansea to visit with Gamecock Larry. Gamecock Larry over in Swansea.
Well, that's great, but I thought we'd already told him Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and see you next year. Hello, Gamecock Larry. Welcome in.
I knew you didn't want me to call Mr. Phil, but
No.
I knew you had that, but I decided to call anyway. But what I want to do is I want to wish all my family, my friends, my support group, 100.7, Mr. Phil, Pat, Chris, and all, Merry Christmas. And if you hear next week, I'm gonna call you. So I ain't gonna miss you. But I got one thing to say. If you will give me just a few minutes, I gotta talk slow. But I've been talking to the other. I probably told you guys about the Clark brothers drag racing and motocross races.
Yeah.
I might have told you about that. I don't know. But guess what they done today? I was sitting here in my chair, had my feet popped up higher than my head. That's what the doctor told me. And got them old support hose on. And guess what? Jimmy and C.W. Clark, that's the daddies of the young man that does the racing, knocked on my door, and they had me a platter of homemade sweets with a big ribbon on top from their mom, Mrs. Clark. And I'll tell you what, it made my day. I didn't know these guys. I've never met them, but I seen them. They come to my house this morning, and it made me feel good. And I'm glad and also 100.7. I seem like I've known you all my life. Well, I've been knowing Mr. Phil quite a while.
Yes, sir.
He just didn't know it. He just didn't know it. I've been hiding in the scene. I remember when he ain't always been well, I ain't gonna talk about him because
that's good.
I love Mr. Phil, but all Gators, Dogs, Tide, Vols, Wildcats, Tigers, all of the Gamecocks have a Merry Christmas, and I'll talk to you next week if I'm able. But the good Lord been good to me. He kept me for another year, and I appreciate 100.7 for giving the old man a little bit of time to talk. I know I've talked crazy all while. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you all will listen to me and let me enjoy and have a good feeling when I hang up. And I love y'all. Have a Merry Christmas. All right.
And we appreciate you, Larry.
Roll Tide. Roll Roll Tide.
Yay. All right, Larry. Thank you. We appreciate you. You have a Merry Christmas. You always have a place here on Sports Talk. You know that. And always good hearing from you. All right, quick update over at, let's go to Little John. Little John, Clemson's up 23-13 on Queens at the under 12 timeout. And the Tigers shooting 63%, holding the Queenies to 26%. And the Tigers have Hall with 6, and Godfrey with 6, and Girard with 5. So good shooting start for Clemson. Mostly looks like probably in the paint. They've only made 1 3, and they got 16 points in the paint. So as you might expect, killing them inside. Meantime, over at CLA, Gamecocks 11, Elon 9. 11:35 to go in the first half of play. Gamecocks are shooting 33%. Elon is shooting 27%. And Cooper leads the Gamecocks with 5. No Michi Johnson tonight. He is out, apparently with an injury. And Zachary Davis has 3 for the Gamecocks. Neither team shooting well. 5 of 13 for the Gamecocks. 4 of 15 for Elon, now known as the Phoenix. They used to have one of the great nicknames in sports, Pat. Do you remember what it was? I'll test you here. Elon, their former nickname before they became the Phoenix. You know what their nickname was?
I do not. All I know them as is the Phoenix.
Yeah. They were the Fighting Christians.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The Elon Fighting Christians. But they did away with that. And now they are the Phoenix. And they are trailing 13-12. Back to the phones. 888-898-2525. Where are we going next?
So might catch you off guard here, Andy. I did not actually pick up the phone and chat with him yet. Sorry, I have my hands full. But we are staying right here in the Midlands and visiting with Andy. So Andy in Columbia, welcome into the program tonight.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Hello, fellas, and Merry Christmas to all the ones who celebrate the holiday.
Yes, sir.
Number 2, shout out to my man Gamecock Larry. I just got depressed. He was talking about his compression socks. Guess what Andy just got put into this week?
That tells us a lot right there.
Exactly.
Andy,
Now,
look at all the best athletes in the world, though. They all wear those every single ball game. So don't feel bad about yourself. The most athletic people, in shape people on the planet wear compression socks.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the gun ho go for it compression socks. Nothing like compression socks and shorts and sandals.
That's not a good look.
That's the look of looks.
Not that I wear them, so don't worry about that. But
Yeah.
I told my doctor, these things won't be on if I'm wearing shorts. So don't ever worry about that. But something I want to catch up on from last night, and something I want to talk about that you talked about earlier. Mr. Hank talking about the men's team having an issue because of exam week and not playing for the week of exams. Well, explain this to me. Didn't the women have their exam week the same week? Did they not win that day by 70 points?
They did. They did.
So what's exams have to do with anything?
No, you're right. I mean, they had practice. It's not like they didn't practice the entire week. They practiced the entire week, and they weren't playing a very tough opponent. Just like tonight, they are once again in a battle with a team that is 6-5 coming in. They're 15 up 15-14, and there's 2 of 8 from 3, and they're shooting 40%. So again, they might win this game.
Are you watching it any?
No, I have not watched it because we've been.
So you didn't see Studi's first 2 3-pointers that were air balls, huh?
I did not see his first 2 air balls that were 3 attempts.
I'm a little disappointed so far in his performance because I don't think that he's everything that everybody made him out to be. But maybe I'm wrong.
Well,
just haven't seen.
He was very good at Vanderbilt. You can't hide from that. He was very good at Vanderbilt. He's supposed to be an excellent outside shooter. He has been in a bit of a slump, but I think team-wise, they've been in a slump. As I said earlier this week, they are only, from their last 2 games, they were only 6 of 41 for 3-point shooting, 6 for their last 41, and now tonight they've hit 2 of 8, so that means they're 8 for their last 49 from beyond the arc.
15 points in the first 11 and a half minutes.
Yeah, it's 15-15.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, against a team like Elon. I mean, that's, I don't know what's going on, but, it doesn't seem like they're getting ready for conference play coming up. They're not hitting their peak.
Well, I mean, look, Elon is 265 in the net. Okay, so that kind of tells you where they are at this point in the season. They're 4-5 against Division I teams, but they're 265 in the net. And the Gamecocks should be mopping these opponents up if they're going to be thinking about. Now, listen, I've seen teams who kind of lollygag in December. They kind of slop it around, may even lose some of these games, and then they flip a switch when they get to January and February. They take off in league play. So maybe this team's going to do that.
Or maybe they just play up to the talent of their competition.
Yeah.
And,
maybe
that could be a problem there, too.
Yeah, maybe they'll step it up.
We'll see what happens. Now, another thing I wanted to throw at you, this Florida State thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's 2 teams. One's called Oregon State. The other's called Washington State. I believe they need to get 5 more teams into the Pac-12 to make the Pac-12 an actual conference within 2 years. They have next year, and then the next year after that, they have to have 7 teams, or the Pac-12 will no longer be the Pac-12. There won't be any Pac-12. So maybe Florida State wants to do a Pac-12.
Well, I think they've already. I mean, the Pac-12 is dead. It's gone.
No, it's not. It just went through this week.
I mean, I know that that Washington State and Oregon State took a court action that they're trying to seize all the money.
They have control of the Pac-12 now.
Mm-hmm.
And what I read is that the NCAA gives you a year after teams have transferred out. You have to have 7 teams in your conference that play men's basketball and women's basketball, and I believe 10 other sports. It doesn't have to be football. Okay? You can have 1 year off from that 7, which will be this year coming up after the 24, the 24-25 year.
Mm-hmm.
So the 25-26 year, they're going to have, I believe, 5 more teams join the conference, or the Pac-12 will no longer exist. It still exists now, but not actually as a playing conference, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Earlier today, it was also announced that Oregon State and Washington State are joining the West Coast Conference as affiliate members for, I believe, 12 different sports, most of which, if not all, are Olympic sports. But that's only going to be for 2 years, and that goes into effect next year. That was announced, I think, just a couple hours ago. That will include also men's and women's basketball, women's soccer, volleyball, men's and women's golf, women's cross country, and women's rowing. Oregon State will also participate in the WCC in men's soccer and softball. Washington State will compete in women's tennis and men's cross country. And the goal there is to buy them, at least it seems like, I don't think they've actually announced this, but it seems as though they're just trying to buy themselves time to kind of figure out what their next move is. But at least for now, they do have opponents.
Yeah, that's the 2-year window.
Right.
So what they're going to hope to do is steal from the WAC and from the Mountain West.
That's right.
I believe.
And in football, they've announced that. Yeah,
try
for
to
next
build
year.
the conference from there.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's a place Florida State can land if they're looking for somebody.
Listen, locations, geography, they don't matter anymore.
That's what I was
in the current state.
About geography.
But I think this is all going to change. I really believe that eventually, and maybe not too many years down the road, when these bigger schools that want to just pay the players outright and just have a professional relationship, a pure professional deal going, they'll reorganize and they'll put the teams back into a geographical sense, and they'll name it that way. They'll have the SEC division, they'll have the ACC division, they'll have the Pac whatever division, and so on and so forth. And they'll play like that. And you'll see a lot more. You'll see a lot more a lot more national games. We've seen more and more of that, but I think you'll see more SEC teams playing teams from the West Coast, and but not as league games. But then you'll have a playoff situation where you're going to have your league champions automatically advance to a playoff situation. I'm hoping we'll get to the point like the NFL does, where you don't have any so-called selections of playoff teams. You can come up with a system where it's all about finishing in the top 8 or top 10, whatever, without having a committee. And there'd be no question about, like, does anybody question who makes the NFL playoffs? You know, you win your division, and and then you're a wild card team. There's not an NFL selection committee that says, well, I think this team's better than that team, so I'm picking them. So I'd hope and like to think that college football is going to get to that.
You want a structured win-loss standings type of playoff, but not a subjective type of playoff that's decided by 12 bozos in a room.
Well, doesn't everybody really want that? I mean, really, isn't that what everybody wants?
Yeah, exactly. You
want or the flip of that is, how good has controversy and conversation been for college football over the last 100 years? The fact that you do have situations where deserving teams get left out because of polls and because of opinions, and it just drives the conversation, which keeps college football, first in the forefront in the minds of sports fans around the year. Hey, we got to run to a break. Happy holidays to you. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. We're still pretty chilly tonight with a low tipping down to 33. Tomorrow, nice with mostly sunny skies, a high of 63. For Sunday, a blending of sun-chiming clouds and a warmer temp of 66. Not getting a white Christmas, but we are getting a wet one. Rain and mid-60s on Monday. Merry Christmas from The Point. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Game day, game day, game day. Be ready for game day with the monsters of the Mellow Mushroom Gridiron. Get to the line of Shroomage. Take the snap and order all your Mellow favorites, like fresh mouth-watering spring water dough pizza baked on the stone, monumental hoagies, hot pretzels, wings, meatballs, fresh crisp salads, and over 100 beers from around the world. Dine in, order online, or call ahead for takeout. Then head to the game or the sofa. The Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the federal government on Friday reopened railroad crossings in 2 Texas border towns 5 days after the shutdown of rail operations there disrupted trade and caused outrage. Customs and Border Protection closed railroad operations in Eagle Pass in El Paso, Texas on Monday to reallocate their customs officers to help Border Patrol take illegal migrants into custody. Both regions have seen the number of illegal border crossings soar this month. Score one for former President Trump. The Supreme Court said it will not immediately take up a plea by special counsel Jack Smith to rule on whether former President Trump can be prosecuted for his actions to overturn the 2020 election results. It will head instead to the D.C. Court of Appeals, which promised to act quickly. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 18 points. This is SRN News.
You don't normally call a plumber until you need a plumber. Well, if you need one today or if you need one tomorrow, I want you to remember Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. Listen, I might not know all the tricks to turning a wrench, but I do know how a plumbing company should work and how to treat people. My dad was a plumber. My grandfather was a plumber, and so were 3 of my uncles. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning does it right. They are the epitome of customer service. They're locally owned and operated, and Josh and his team, well, they put customer service as the top priority for Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. I've never known a business owner more intent on making it a great experience for people. And let's face it, when you have a plumbing crisis, well, that could be traumatic. They specialize in service and replacement issues for your home or for your business. They've been to my home and fixed 3 different plumbing issues I had in the house. If you need them, they're there to help. Online at franklinplumbing.sc.com or call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning 799-2222. That's 799-2222. And tell them Kev sent you from The Point.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5-9 college savings plan is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
Fran Halloran here. Now listen closely to what I'm about to say. I'm a business owner, and many of you listening right now, you're business owners as well. The first rule in owning a business is this: don't waste money. I see business owners waste their marketing dollars all the time. Not me. I figured out a long time ago that spending my marketing dollars at the point was not only intentional, but extremely profitable as well. If you're a small business owner, you owe it to yourself to sit down with Kevin Cohen and ask him to create a custom marketing plan for your business. He's looking for folks just like you who believe in local to partner with him in 2023 and beyond. Trust me when I tell you, partnering with The Point works. You will see results and your marketing budget will no longer be wasted. Give Kev a call at 803-563-8558 and tell him the Money Coach sent you.
See, we're in the holiday spirit on our stream now. Very nice touch. Very nice. 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. We welcome you listening to us over one of our great affiliates around the state, or if you're catching us on the Chief Sports app or one of our other streams on X, on YouTube, on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. Glad to have you each and every way you're getting to us. Now, we'll do recruiting in a little bit, but this big national story breaking just a couple of minutes ago, and it is that Jordan Seaton, the big offensive lineman, who at one time had the South Carolina on his short list. He's out of IMG. That's where he went to school. He is from, I want to say he's from Maryland, I think. And he signed with Colorado this afternoon. He signed his NLI. Now, wow. He most recently, the national analysts with their crystal balls and their RPMs were pegging him towards Maryland. And now he turns around and he signs with Colorado. And he's a big guy, thought to be maybe the best offensive lineman in the country. We'll see about that. But yeah, like here is on December 20th, 24/7 Sports, a crystal ball has been submitted to Maryland for Jordan Seaton. Crack. So what I want to mention here too is today, apparently, Deion Sanders, coach at Colorado, I can find the story here on X, formerly known as Twitter, was down to see Jordan Seaton in Miami, if I read this story correct, which I guess that's legal. I thought we were in a dead period, but see if I can find this story exactly as it is on X here. There's video. Here's video of Jordan Seaton in a car with somebody else who I don't recognize. And let's see here. Signed with Colorado. Apparently Deion was on with Stephen A. Smith today, maybe hinted about signing the kid. And just trying to find this piece of video in this post that they were together in Miami today. Oh, well, I'll look forward to here and find it in just a moment. But anyway, that's big news for Colorado, getting a big-time prospect in Jordan Seaton. after it appeared he was going that way. Then he didn't sign. Then of course there were predictions he was going to go to Maryland. Okay, here it is. Oh, he was with Deion Sanders Jr. Yeah, I thought it was a dead period. So, and I know Deion wouldn't be that stupid to be out recruiting somebody during a dead period. The video is with Jordan Seaton, and he flew to Miami this morning and was with Deion Sanders Jr. earlier today. So, all is cool there. This was retweeted by Adam Friedman of Rivals. So, big pickup for the Colorado Buffaloes. They have totally rebuilt their offensive line through the portal and with this kid. So, and we'll see where they go with that. But getting offensive linemen, something that they felt like they had to do, and they went out and got it done. All right, back to the phones.
Real
AAA.
quick, just to cap off this story too. That's a huge get for Sanders in Colorado because a lot of folks around the country were starting to really question Colorado and Deion's recruiting and starting to wonder whether maybe they lost a little bit of their shine after the way this past season finished. And what I mean by that is only 5 players had actually, or 5 prospects had signed their letters of intent, and then Jordan Seaton now makes 6 if he has in fact signed. However, Deion Sanders has gotten 16 players through the transfer portal. So once again, relying very, very heavily on the portal, but not very many guys out of high school. So to the point that you make, and I think it's too soon for us to really say for sure one way or the other whether you can successfully build a program only through the portal. But you got to think right now, if he's only got 6 guys coming in out of high school, is this going to be the way he takes it every year at Colorado? Is this just going to be a very older team, a very upperclassmen led team virtually every year?
Yeah. I mean, it's the quick fix. It's the quick rebuild. And that's the way he's going to go about it. And I think he'll continue to operate in that manner. Plus, he's dealing with an older when you recruit the portal, John. When you're dealing with a transfer, you're typically dealing with an older guy, and the recruiting is totally different because these guys, you don't have to. They're not interested, as a coach once told me, they're not interested in facilities, and they're not interested in how shiny your weight room is, and they're not interested in how nice the dorm is. They've been through all that in recruiting. What they're looking for, well, now 2 things. What they're looking for is an opportunity to play, and now, of course, we're talking about they're looking for the bag as well, which is with the transfer guys. I would imagine with the transfer guys, that's a bigger element than it is maybe with just your run-of-the-mill high school kid. Your run-of-the-mill high school kid, most of them are still just excited to have a scholarship offer, to be recruited, to have official visits paid for. Now, obviously, you've got a certain level of high school prospect, the most coveted ones, where the bag is certainly a part of the deal. But I think with most of these transfer guys, especially if you're moving up and you've got SEC programs, ACC programs, the bigger programs coming at you, and you got multiple, that the money side of that certainly has to come into play. Quick update on the basketball. It's South Carolina leading Elon 28-18, under 2 minutes to go in the half. The Gamecocks on a 9-0 run, 13-2 run over the last 6:25. And Clemson 51-31 over Queens. And the Tigers on a 10-0 run. Some other basketball real quick. Coming up, you got Winthrop down at Florida State. Well, it's a good time to be playing basketball at Florida State, isn't it? Alabama State's at Auburn, Marist at Notre Dame, Houston Christian at Texas A&M, Missouri and Illinois play tonight, Georgia Tech plays Hawaii, and South Carolina State beat Bruton Parker 101-84. Georgia beat North Florida 78-60. Florida beat Grambling 96-57. All right, there you go. And you got something else?
Just one more quick note about Colorado. Reading between the lines here a little bit, it looks like they've got a quote-unquote breaking story out of Colorado about a center from IMG Academy, Cash Cleveland, who committed to Colorado this afternoon. May not recognize that name, according to 247, and I don't mean this anything bad against the kid. He's a good enough player. He had college offers, but was rated as a 0-star player, did not have major offers. but he played alongside and apparently very close friends with the other young man who had not yet quite signed, Jordan Seaton. So you can't help but wonder, again, this is just conjecture, but can't help but wonder if maybe Seaton was like, hey, I haven't signed yet, bring my guy with me. He is signed, Cash Cleveland, that is, as a preferred walk-on with Colorado.
Well, there you go. There you go. Preferred walk-ons don't cost you anything.
There you go.
Unless you want to give them a little something.
How you like that investigative journalism right there for you?
That's good stuff. It's impressive. Let's go to Hank. Hank in Columbia. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Good to have you with us.
Hey, Corn, I'm calling to defend myself a little bit here. And I hope I can get this out without, I think my point last night got skewed because you overtalked me so quick. I didn't say that South Carolina's men were going to be world beaters. I'm just saying, there's two questions. Where were South Carolina men picked to finish in the SEC this year?
Dead positively at the bottom of the barrel last.
Exactly. And then number two, last year, how many games did South Carolina win?
If my memory is correct, I believe the total victory for the Gamecocks last season would be 10.
Okay. So what I was trying to say is the team may not be as bad as it was, which ain't hard to do from last year.
Yep.
And considering what the prognosticators picked, because before the year, I don't think any of them would have picked South Carolina to beat Virginia Tech or Notre Dame, no matter how good four of those teams were purported to be. Because they couldn't beat none of the teams that they're playing now. South Carolina couldn't beat none of them last year.
They won 11 last year, by the way.
Yeah, but they didn't beat any of these teams. I think Pat went over it after I got off last night.
Yeah, they lost to Colorado State, they lost to Davidson, lost to Furman, lost to George Washington, UAB, East Carolina. I mean, they had some pretty bad losses last year.
They're brutal losses. And all I was saying was that yeah, they're going to squeak out some. And what I meant for Andy, coming out of the exam break is a lot of times, just as you said earlier tonight, you see some of these close games with upper division teams or even upsets because they're rusty. Now, you can't compare that team in any manner to anybody that South Carolina women's team would play coming out the break, because when 85 to 90% of your roster are McDonald's All-Americans, it doesn't matter how rusty you are. You're going to play well. I just said that some of these games, and the shooting may be off and it may stay off. Like I agree with Pat. It may stay off, but we've seen these guys shoot for it. But I'm saying when you come out of exams, a lot of teams are rusty. And looking at some of the teams in the lower part of the SEC, we've got teams in the SEC that have lost to Grambling, lost to Southern. I mean, we've got some teams that have had some bad losses. Not a 4-point loss to Clemson, but some bad losses. If you just go through and look at some of them. So I'm just saying that they may be better than that last place. And if there's progress, then we just got to wait and see.
You're right. Wait and see. I'm just saying, all I was saying is they're going to have a nice shiny record. They're up 30-20 at half, but against Elon. But right now they are shooting 39%. They are 2 of 13 from 3. So they continue in a prolonged shooting slump from downtown, and they got to get that fixed. Now they're playing without Michi Johnson tonight. I'll grant you that. But they still have to, as a team. Points for you. I beg your pardon?
And I agree with you.
Yeah.
I said, Michi some nights could be 26 to 30 points for you. I agree with you that they have to play better. That's not what I was saying. I agree with that. I was just saying that as poor as the team was last year and as poorly as the press predicted them this year, even the gut out, these little small wins, they're still accomplishing things they couldn't accomplish in their wildest dreams last year.
Well, they're a better team than they were last year. But, I mean, last year was a team that was thrown together around a high school sensation. And while he had his moments of playing well and his overall numbers weren't bad, that just didn't work, just like it didn't work for Ant Edwards at Georgia. I mean, you had the greatest player in the country on your team at Georgia, and they didn't win 10 games that year, as I recall. And now look at him. He's like one of the early sensations of the NBA this year.
Yeah. I mean, the NBA, yeah.
So, and apparently G.G. Jackson's starting to find his way in the NBA. So these guys are individually great players, but they did not make for good teams. They didn't even make for bad teams. They made for awful teams. I mean, those teams were not good at all. And well, listen, we got to run. Happy holidays, and appreciate you calling.
Yeah, thanks, Hank.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Thank you very much. At the half, the Gamecocks are up 30-20 on the Phoenix. Gamecocks at 39%, but they're holding Elon at 27. So one thing they have been consistent about is their defense. And, defense travels. And defense shows up every night if you want to be a good defensive team. And they've been good. So maybe that will help them. Leading the Gamecocks right now is Wright with 8, and Cooper has 7. The Gamecocks only 2 of 13 behind the arc. As for Clemson, the Tigers put 69 points on the board in the first half against Queens. 69-36. Clemson on top. The Tigers 71% shooting, and I would like to see their shot chart because they've got 38 points in the paint. They've got, but only 3 offensive rebounds. So obviously, they're putting the ball on the floor and they're putting their heads down and they're driving to the bucket. They've only taken 9 threes. They've hit 6 of those. So when you shoot that kind of percentage, there's not a lot of rebounds either. So I was looking at offensive rebounds. They only have 3, but they've only missed 11 shots. So there's not a lot of offensive rebounds to go get.
No, and Corn, just to talk a little bit more about the Gamecocks. Remember going back again to Lamont Paris's opening press conference, he talked to us about his style emphasizes defense, and he expected the players to pick up the offensive philosophy he had a lot quicker than defense. He thought it might even take a couple of years to really get players once on campus to fully understand and embrace his system. And he learned a lot of that under Bo Ryan at Wisconsin in those days. And Bo Ryan's staff, his teams were very similar. They were defensive oriented. And when you have defensive oriented teams, and then look at Tony Bennett over at Virginia as well, that minimizes possessions, not only for your opponent, but also for yourself. It's especially effective against high scoring offenses because you minimize the chances the other teams have to score against you. But with that, it also minimizes the amount of chances you have to score. And so if you have a poor shooting team, like you're pointing out this year, you might have some pretty rough nights. Mm-hmm. And you might have a lot of games that finish in the 50s or 60s. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we're going to start seeing once we're in SEC play from this squad. And maybe that's what you could expect from Paris moving forward. I don't know. I think that'd be a great question to ask him. Might do that after the next game. But like, in his mind, what is a perfect final score for him? Would it be in the 50s, the 60s, or in the 80s or the 90s? I don't know. But the point again here is if you only have much lower possessions per game and you're not shooting at a high clip, you're going to have some pretty rough nights.
Well, they open up SEC play in early January. Their first game is at home against Mississippi State. Mississippi State is 40th in the net right now. They do have an ugly loss. Not too long ago, they had an ugly loss at home to Southern. Southern 3-7, and they won 60-59. Obviously, they called Mississippi State on a night they weren't paying attention. And prior to that, they lost to Georgia Tech in the SEC-ACC Challenge. That was in Atlanta. Lost that game by 8. Otherwise, they've won everything. They just beat Tulane. They beat Tulane, they beat Murray State, and they beat North Texas in their last 3 games. And they will be playing Rutgers tomorrow at noon. So the Gamecocks will get a challenge right out of the gate with Mississippi State. And then it's Alabama after that. Then you're off and running, nowhere to hide in the SEC. Then they go to Missouri, back-to-back road games. Georgia's playing better. You get them at home. Then you go to Arkansas, never fun. Then you get Kentucky and Missouri again before going to Tennessee, and that's January. So
500 in the conference will be a win this year.
Yeah, but can they get to that? That's the question. Be back.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff Program.
George Bryan here for Tsunami Bar Sports, and some say the fun is in the winning. I say the fun is in the training. And Tsunami Robbie, what do you say?
George, we all know you get more done when you're having fun. This technology is different. It's engaging, but it's also a lot of fun to use.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any Tsunami Bar order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hosteller-Brown. If you or a loved one are over 65 and haven't completed a long-term care planning consultation, now is the time. Did you know that if you aren't able to afford the high cost of skilled care, your assets can be rapidly depleted to only $2,000 unless you plan 5 years in advance? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
You put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Yeah, I've been on that highway before, east of Omaha, heading out to the College World Series. That would be probably, he's talking about I-70. That would be, no, it'd be I-80. I-80 east of Omaha, runs through Omaha, goes to Lincoln, I-80. So, yeah, he's talking about I-80 there.
So there used to be a video game when I was a kid growing up on Nintendo 64 or in arcades. It was called Cruisin' USA. It was a racing game, and you would drive through different highways around America, one of which was maybe that same highway. And I just remember going through that Nebraska level. It was the one everybody hated because you just drove, and it was just cornfields on either side, and nonstop these bugs would squish on the windshield, and it would make it hard to see. I've always wondered, was that did you experience that out there?
A lot of bugs. Especially if you're driving at night, a lot of cornfields. In fact, one of the last times I went to the College World Series and we had a team out there, flew into Kansas City, and then you take I-29, I think it is, I-29 north. And anyway, they had, because of flooding, they had the interstate closed, and you had to take country roads up into Iowa, and saw all the cornfields, and also they have the wind-generated electrical grid out there. So you saw the big turbines. They had these turbine farms, you know, very impressive looking to drive close by. I'm talking about close by.
Oh, wow.
And you know, you sort of make the route took you through this part of Iowa and several turns. You get back on the interstate where the flooding had cleared. So anyway, that was my little sojourn into the great state of Iowa. All right, phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Want to remind you that if you are starting to think about your vacation plans for this coming spring and summer. I was talking to Jimmy Smith just the other day, just catching up with the young man. And man, he said the property's just flying. It's just flying out of his office. And you need to give Jimmy a call if you're thinking about a place to buy along the coast or a place to rent for vacation time. And Jimmy or a member of the staff will be happy to work with you. They do a great job, as you well know. And his phone number is 843-237-4246. That's 843-237-4246. Paulie'sVacationRentals.com on your computer. You can look it up there and check out various properties and start to get some information that way. So you let them make your trip to the beach a perfect getaway. One way to do it is called Jimmy Smith. James Smith Real Estate, Paulie'sVacationRentals.com, 843-237-4246. And the bowl game tonight is Georgia Tech and UCF. And see if we can get a quick update on what's happening in that one. Got a lot of bowl games coming up tomorrow, that's for sure. And in this one, see if we got anything to report yet. If I can get a score up here. Come on. Give me a look. It's UCF up on Tech 7-0. We'll be right back.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Some senior citizens have a new companion to help them combat loneliness, a robot. Ed Donahue reports.
The device is called LEQ. It has an eyeless, mouthless head that lights up and swivels.
That's a wonderful perspective to have.
83-year-old Deanna DeZern was one of the first to get one.
I can say things to LEQ that I won't even say to my grandchildren. I can just open the floodgates.
DeZern says LEQ comforted her when her friend died.
I've been asked, doesn't it feel like you're talking to yourself? No, because I get an answer.
LEQ remembers each user's interest and their conversations, helping to tailor future chats.
It makes getting older more bearable.
But a university psychologist worries LEQ may keep some seniors from seeking out human contact. I'm Ed Donahue.
Do you plan to wait until late Christmas Eve to shop for presents? You might want to double check the hours of the stores you're headed to. Some are closing earlier on the holiday.
Walmart will close at 6 p.m. Most Target stores will open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Christmas Eve, but you should double check local hours. IKEA stores are open 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Macy's stores are open 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., but times may vary based on location. If you're waiting to shop for groceries for the big Christmas meal, Sam's Club stores are open until 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Trader Joe's closes at 5 p.m. Whole Food stores will be open, but the hours will vary depending on the location. I'm Donna Warder.
The Supreme Court will not immediately take up a plea by special counsel Jack Smith to rule on whether former President Trump can be prosecuted for his actions to overturn the 2020 election results. The issue will now be decided by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. be the next success story.
Hi, Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. Step up your grilling game with our Solaire portable infrared grills. Our compact everywhere is a favorite of RVers and trailer pullers. Solaire infrared provides the quick sear for bar marks and texture needed to properly finish sous vide. Use a portable alongside your larger conventional grill to create an instant sear zone and more juicy and flavorful food. Learn more at BestHotGrill.com. Affordable, powerful, portable infrared grills at besthotgrill.com.
The week ended mostly quiet on Wall Street.
Stocks finished mostly higher on Wall Street Friday, and the S&P 500 closed with its 8th straight weekly increase. The S&P 500 rose 0.2%, as did the Nasdaq Composite. However, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 18 points, or less than 0.1%. A report showed the measure of inflation most closely watched by the Federal Reserve slowed more than economists expected in November. Investors are hoping the Fed will start cutting rates next year after raising them to cool off inflation. Paul Harloff, New York.
President Biden signed a new executive order aimed at targeting financial facilitators of the Russian defense industry. The Kremlin is trying to restock the Russian military's depleted arsenal after nearly 22 months of fighting in Ukraine. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. We're still pretty chilly tonight with a low tipping down to 33. Tomorrow, nice with mostly sunny skies, a high of 63. For Sunday, a blending of sun-shining clouds and a warmer temp of 66. Not getting a white Christmas, but we are getting a wet one. Rain and mid-60s on Monday. Merry Christmas from The Point. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
As a kid, you dreamed of being a firefighter one day. Now, the opportunity is yours. Answer the sound of sirens. Live your dream. Become a part of a team, a family. Visit scvolunteerfire.org to find out more.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Welcome back into Sports Talk Media Network. And we hope you're having a great Friday and you're looking forward to a great holiday. A reminder, no sports talk, a rare night off, no sports talk on a Monday night. Of course, we weren't on Thanksgiving night either, so maybe it's not all that rare. And we won't be on New Year's Day night either, so maybe it's not that rare. Maybe we're just getting lazy around here. But we're going to be off Monday. We're going to be off New Year's. But then we crack the whip and we fly through 2024. You know, before you know it, we'll be talking about the 2024 football season and getting ready for Clemson and Georgia. How about that? Clemson and Georgia. That will be maybe the biggest game of the opening weekend in Atlanta. Of course, South Carolina playing Old Dominion. Not sure about what else is out there nationally. But Clemson, Georgia, Carson Beck back at quarterback. And here you go. I mean, right off the bat. Now, it's going to be a little different with the 12-team playoff. So the loser of this game, obviously, is not going to be eliminated from playoff consideration. And they may not have been either if we were still with 4 teams. But now going to 12 teams, certainly they're not going to be eliminated. Of course, they can go win their league championship and et cetera, as far as getting into the playoffs. So it's still going to be a big game. And I think you're going to have Clemson trying to come out and reestablish itself as a national power. And what better way to do that than to beat Georgia in Atlanta, okay, and kind of reestablish your turf. And Georgia, of course, I'm sure Georgia believes that they should be in the national championship game this time around. And as a matter of fact, I was looking at the odds for the football games, for the bowl games. I was looking at some odds today. I was preparing our sheets for our pick'em contest, and I was thinking about this. So let me pull this up real quick. So Florida State, with their situation at quarterback, Florida State in their bowl game playing Georgia. As a matter of fact, Florida State's playing Georgia, and Georgia's a 14.5-point favorite. Now, what does that tell you the odds makers think about Florida State without their quarterback? That is, had the committee put Florida State in as one of the top four, if they're a 14.5-point underdog to Georgia, what would they have been? Let's just say if they had replaced Alabama and they were playing Michigan in one of the semifinals. Alabama is a 1.5-point underdog to Michigan. If Florida State's a 14.5-point underdog to Georgia in their current state, what would they have been to Michigan? And my point is, you don't want a playoff game where a spread is almost 20 points or 2 touchdowns. You don't want that in one of your playoff games. Your playoff spreads, what are they this year? You got Alabama's getting 1.5, and Texas is favored by 4 over Washington. Even that, well, 4 is okay, but you certainly don't want a 2 touchdown spread, which kind of, especially considering these were hand-picked teams. These weren't automatic qualifiers from a weaker conference that got in, and thus you have the big spread. These were hand-picked teams that are supposed to be the 4 best teams in the country. So you see where I'm going with this? If Florida State had been one of the 4, they would have been a 2 touchdown and more underdog to whomever they were paired against.
Which the national championship last year was that. It was Georgia minus 13.5 against TCU last year.
Yeah, but see,
we all saw how that went. It was even worse.
But
easy money.
What was TCU? TCU played Michigan. Who did TCU play in the semis? TCU played. Who'd they play?
I believe that was Michigan.
Was it Michigan? Look that up and see if you can find what the spread was. Las Vegas doesn't lie. They have a good feel on the quality of teams.
TCU beat Michigan 51-45 in the Fiesta Bowl. Oh, that's right. And Georgia beat Ohio State 42-41. So it was actually 2 really, really good
the semifinals last year were great. But what was the spread? What was the prediction? What was the odds going in?
For which game?
The TCU game. TCU, Michigan. Who was favored and by how much? That's the question. You can find that real quick.
Looks like that was Michigan minus 7.5.
Yeah. Okay. That's getting a little bit of a stretch right there. I don't think you want big spreads in your semifinals. I mean, they should be tight spreads. The team should be relatively equal if you're picking the 4 best teams.
I'm trying to remember what the biggest spread was, and I don't know this offhand, but I seem to have a inkling it might have been that that first round match between, was it Bama and it was Washington. Washington was involved. Yeah, Alabama over Washington, the 2017 Peach Bowl, where Alabama won 24-7, but it really didn't feel that close to be fair. That game, or maybe the semifinal the year before that, where Alabama just absolutely obliterated Michigan State.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of good semifinal games. Last year was. Let's hope it wasn't a one-off. Let's hope it continues. UCF is leading Georgia Tech 14-0, and they're still in the first quarter. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, Syracuse and Georgia Tech, the first 2 ACC teams to play in a bowl game thus far. So far, through almost 4 or 5 quarters, the ACC hasn't scored. Syracuse was shut out by USF yesterday. Bad, ugly, bad. UCF up on Georgia Tech 14-0. But again, King is playing. The quarterback is playing. I don't know how many opt-outs Georgia Tech had, transfers that really hurt them. A lot of these teams playing in these bowl games are just a shell of what they were by the time they were finishing up their regular season. Okay.
Here we go, by the way. In case you have any other games, I just found a great site here. It has going back to the beginning of the college football playoff, it has what the line was for every single game, semifinals and championship. And last year, Michigan TCU 7.5 was the bigger of the 2. The Cotton Bowl, Alabama Cincinnati. Wow. So that was Alabama minus 13. So that was pretty big. And Alabama ended up winning by 21. Oh my gosh. The year before that, the Rose Bowl, Alabama was favored by 19 against Notre Dame. I don't remember that. That is one heck of a spread there.
Yeah.
That's big. A couple years before that, Oklahoma, Alabama's 2018-2019. Alabama was favored by 14.5. And let's see, a lot of these are Alabama. Alabama, Washington. Yeah, that game I was thinking of, that was 13.5. And yes, it looks like the biggest spread that we've had thus far in the college football playoff was that, what did I say? Alabama minus 19 against Notre Dame, which is surprising.
What year was that?
That was the 2020-2021 season.
Okay.
So that was when Clemson lost to Ohio State.
Was that the COVID year?
That was the COVID year. That's right.
Yeah. All right, let me go basketball. South Carolina with a 10-4 start in the second half now leads Elon 40-24, and the Gamecocks have a couple of threes in the second half, still only shooting 36% in the half, but they've opened up a 40-24 lead, and Clemson is up 30, 79-49 in the second half of their game. And let's see what else we've got here. Winthrop up early on Florida State, 6-4. However, Florida State's lawyers will argue that Florida State is really, they should be winning that game.
If Florida State was in the playoff, would this be happening?
Bad joke. Would it be? Yeah, I think so. I don't, because they've been working on this. You just don't work on this thing 2 weeks after you're snubbed from the playoff. They've been working on this just like the ACC been working on their countersuit, because that went in yesterday. So they've been working on this thing for a while. They both knew it was coming. So I don't think the fact they didn't make the playoffs had anything to do with it, personally. All right, let me hit up on a few other things of the day. Then we'll take the break, come back with recruiting. But a few things I want to get into here before we get too far down the road. And to this Florida State ACC thing now, just a few notes here from various writers. Brett McMurphy, Florida State filed a 38-page complaint versus the ACC Friday, accusing the ACC of restraint of trade, breach of contract, and challenges the legality of its withdrawal penalties, which adds up to over $500 million. Allison Posey, the ACC filed a lawsuit against the Board of Trustees that was filed in Mecklenburg County yesterday. And on page 4, she writes, the ACC claims that, quote, Florida State matters regarding the ACC are subject to the jurisdiction of the state of North Carolina. So obviously they want anything legally heard in the state of North Carolina. Ross Dellinger, Florida State filed its suit in Leon County Circuit Court against the ACC, accusing the league of restraint of trade, breach of contract, and failure to perform. It also challenges the legality of its withdrawal penalties. Nicole Auerbach, per Florida State, ESPN, this is what I mentioned earlier. Per Florida State, ESPN is not guaranteed to pay ACC members revenue past 27, but the ACC schools are locked into a grant of rights that runs through 36. So I don't know how the ACC did that, because that would be considered stupid. So I don't understand how they did that. Ben Portnoy, things I didn't expect in Florida State's lawsuit. South Carolina leaving the league back in 71 for financial reasons and ultimately joining the SEC as part of the argument. I don't think that is correct. Now, maybe finances had something to do with it, but South Carolina, to my memory, you can look it up, look at the state newspaper archives, Greenville News Archives, Post and Courier Archives. They left the ACC over a feud about academics and what the ACC required versus what the NCAA was requiring to be eligible. The ACC had a higher standard than what the NCAA required. And it was soon after South Carolina lost that the ACC lowered their standard. I mean, that was the big thing that Frank McGuire was upset about and pushing for. And I guess there were other things. Certainly, financially, I don't know what they were making from the ACC, but becoming independent could not have been a good move financially. Statement from the ACC commissioner, who said Florida State's decision to file action against the conference is in direct conflict with their longstanding obligation There's a clear violation of their legal commitments to the other members of the conference. All ACC members, including Florida State, willingly and knowingly re-signed the current grant of rights in 2016, which is wholly enforceable and binding through 2036. Each university has benefited from this agreement, receiving millions of dollars in revenue, and neither Florida State nor any other institution has ever challenged its legitimacy. So he went on to write, we are confident that the grant of rights, which has been honored by all other universities who signed similar agreements, will be affirmed by the courts, and the conference's legal counsel will vigorously enforce the agreement in the best interests of the ACC's current and incoming members. Current and incoming members. That's a statement from Dr. Jim Phillips of the ACC. So that is something that you have to think about. Nobody put a gun to Florida State's head back in 16 and said, sign this thing. If you wanted to venture out then and find a new home, you could have done it then if you were opposed to the granting of rights document there. But they didn't. They signed it. And now, they want out of it because of a variety of reasons, but primarily they don't foresee the financial growth within the ACC that they are seeing in rival leagues. And they think that's going to put them behind. Though, under their current situation in the ACC, they have had spectacular basketball success in recent years, and their football program is back. It's on the rebound, and it's probably not going to go away. Mike Norvell's an excellent coach. They have a tremendous organization. They play the NIL game as well as anybody, and so they're probably not going to drop off anytime soon in the ACC.
No, I'm with you, and I'm just trying to think. We feel like we've heard that same argument recently in other topics on this show where you knew what you were signing, deal with it. Have we not discussed similar things regarding NIL or regarding other such things, or players maybe being able to transfer and things of that nature? Like, nobody forced you to play college sports. Nobody forced you to sign on with the NCAA. Deal with it. And now we're seeing other folks, whether it's NIL related or players challenging the transfer portal rules or any number of things. And again, also not an attorney, so I don't know the correct answer here. But things do change. I think we've talked about this a lot. Chris has harped on this point a lot. What in the world were people thinking? By people, I mean the institutions in the ACC or other conferences signing that long of an agreement through 2036. I mean, that is a long time.
But the other thing that's come to light here is that they have no guarantees from ESPN after 27.
Ooh.
And the other thing here, too, is that these conferences and their commissioners for giving up. You're speaking of granting of rights, you're granting ESPN unchecked power over your league. And that's dangerous. And I said it from way back when, years ago, that letting the television networks drive everything, setting your schedules, telling you when to play, et cetera, it would eventually be bad for college sports. And I'm not so sure we're not starting to see that here now. Yeah, they love the money, but the things you give up, your own personal autonomy, your own control on your program, in a lot of ways, you've given that up to the ESPN folks, maybe to a lesser degree the Fox Sports people, but mostly ESPN, because ESPN has got such a hold on everything. I mean, they own bowl games, they own the playoffs. They don't own the NCAA tournament, but they do own college basketball during the regular season. So
Sure.
You've given them a lot of power.
Professionally as well. A.J. Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles today came out publicly talking against Monday Night Football, and a lot of other players backed him up, agreed with the fact that it's just hard on their bodies. It's a much quicker recovery between that and then the next game, and similar arguments with Thursday Night Football.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to think, who runs Monday Night Football? ESPN. That's a cash cow. I mean, I love it. We both love getting home after the show on a Monday night to watch those games.
Well, it used to be special, but
Sure.
what the NFL is doing, and we'll see what happens, there's such a thing as oversaturation.
Yeah.
And they're trying to play games multiple different days of the week, making Sunday just like any other day. Sunday used to be so special. Now Sunday, some days you only have like a handful of games on a Sunday because you've had a bunch of games played on Saturday, you've had them played on Thursday, you've had them played on Mondays. The other night we had a doubleheader on a Monday. So you wonder about the oversaturation. Real quick, I want to give the final tally on the poll question of the week, take the break and give you recruiting. So, and we're going to run a Final Four playoff next week from this voting. So Xavier Leggett, out of 1,612 votes on his page, got 58.7%. Spencer Rattler, 29%. Will Shipley, 10.7%. And Debo Williams, 1.6%. 630 votes on the next question. And Jeremiah Trotter got 50.8%. Maffa got Grayson McCall got 24.7%. Maffa 11.4%. Sam Pinckney 13.7%. On the last page, 253 votes. Tyler Huff got 73%. Dustin Noller 14.6%, and Trey Stewart 12.3%. So we'll go with Tyler Huff. We'll go with Jeremiah Trotter. We'll go with Xavier Leggett, and we'll go with Spencer Rattler. Those four got the highest percentage of their respective votes. We'll have a runoff next week. Right now, we run off to the break. We'll come back and give you a few key, always important recruiting notes. And that'll be coming up in just a moment. Clemson up 88-56 on Queens. And South Carolina now up on Elon. Now they're putting this one away the way they should. They're up 50-31. Be back after the break.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
This year's Carolina and Clemson Jackpot $5 scratch-off tickets give you a chance to win up to $200,000, whether you're a Gamecock or a Tiger. Plus, you can enter your tickets into the Second Chance promotion for a chance to step on the field or the court to win $50,000, $75,000, or even $100,000. In this state, winning the Palmetto Series does matter that much. So get your tickets today. See SCEducationLottery.com for odds and details. Winning and non-winning tickets can be entered. Second chance odds depend on number of entries received.
We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, it's the fall in South Carolina. That means it's deer season. What do people need to know about?
That's right, Phil. It is deer season. We always want to remind hunters to identify your target. Know the identifying features of the game you're hunting. Make sure that it's a deer before you take that shot. When walking to and from your stand in low light, use a flashlight so that no one will mistake you for a deer. For more information on hunting safety and more information on deer season, listen to our show on Wednesday nights on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Discover holiday magic with Founders Federal Credit Union. Now through December 31st. Make your holiday shopping merry and bright with our special 7.99 APR rate on select holiday purchases made with your Founders credit card. You need to hurry though. This rate will be gone as fast as the holidays. Visit foundersfcu.com/cc to save big this holiday season. Call 1-800-845-1614 for details about credit costs and terms.
All right, let's give you the recruiting report brought to you by Seawells. Reminder, Seawells is closed until 2024. So rest up and try to lose some weight so you can go to Seawells and put it all back on beginning in 2024. Quickly recruiting former USC defensive tackle Xavier McLeod of Camden, a former Mr. Football in South Carolina, committed to Georgia this afternoon. I'm assuming he went ahead and signed the financial aid papers, so he's going to be a Bulldog now. He will not play against the Gamecocks, however, not this coming season. USC Clemson top 10 with offensive lineman Chauncey Gooden of Nashville. The others are Michigan, Oregon, Auburn, Colorado, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Missouri, Georgia. USC offered running back Bo Jackson, 6 feet 205, of Euclid, Ohio. In a related story, Auburn offered running back George Rogers of a little bit of a joke there. Bo Jackson named a first-team All-State running back. Missouri, Penn State, Notre Dame, Rutgers, Purdue, NC State, West Virginia, Louisville also offered. USC target offensive tackle Solomon Thomas of Jacksonville committed to Florida State. Offensive tackle Will Black, who had a USC offer, committed to Notre Dame. Safety DJ Pickett of Tampa, who has offers from Clemson and USC. Final 5, Alabama, Miami, Georgia, Oregon, and Michigan. Citadel announced signees. Defensive lineman James Brockington of King Street. Defensive back Marquez Davenport of Calhoun County. Wide receiver Braylon Knopf of Mineola, Florida. Defensive back Nicholas Mirabella, Palm Harbor, Florida. Defensive lineman Brock Nobles of Lyons, Georgia. Defensive back Gene Luck Newison of Chamblee, Georgia. Offensive lineman Brady Pickett of Myrtle Beach. Tight end Cameron Sutton of Lexington. And those are the guys signed out of high school by the Citadel. Okay, after the break, it's time to talk about the great game of golf with George Bryan III coming up here on Sports Talk.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. We're still pretty chilly tonight with a low tipping down to 33. Tomorrow, nice with mostly sunny skies, a high of 63. For Sunday, a blending of sunshine and clouds and a warmer temper of 66. Not getting a white Christmas, but we are getting a wet one. Rain and mid-60s on Monday. Merry Christmas from The Point. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Experience matters when it comes to taking care of your loved one. At Oakleaf Village, Lexington, we have a leadership team that has over 100 years of caring for seniors. This means we have the experience you need. You can rest assured that your loved one is receiving exceptional care when living at Oakleaf Village. Don't trust the most important person in your life with anyone. Trust the experts. Trust Oakleaf Village. Call us at 803-808-3477 or visit us at oakleafvillagelexington.com.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. For most Americans dreaming of a white Christmas, this year's prospects aren't good. Although parts of the Rockies and Midwest already have snow or could get a fresh dusting by Monday, other parts of the country that are normally coated in white by this time of year are still sporting their drab late fall look. Some Catholic bishops say they will not follow the Vatican's new direction on allowing blessings for same-sex couples. Others have fiercely criticized it, with one bishop describing the new policy as a hidden evil. Bishops in Poland, Kazakhstan, Zambia, Malawi, and elsewhere say they would not allow priests to give blessings to same-sex couples and are pushing back against the new policy approved this week by Pope Francis. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 18 points, the Nasdaq rose 29. More details at srnnews.com.
Ho, ho, ho. 'Tis the season to shop where Santa always shops. That's at Shooter's Choice, Santa's first stop. Have you been naughty or nice? Shooter's Choice has been awesome with their brand new, huge showroom to make your Christmas shopping a great experience. A massive space of firearms, ammo, and accessories to choose from. Benelli, SIG, Glock, Colt, Henry Rifles, Bergara Rifles, Franke, Stoger. I mean, come on. You have every major brand to choose from at Shooter's Choice. And to make it a simple job, let the pros at Shooter's Choice help you with Christmas selections. You just can't decide. Well, no problem. Gift cards are the answer. They always make shopping easy. Santa's marking down prices on new items up to Christmas Eve, and along with the daily and weekly specials, well, you will not be disappointed. Fill your Christmas wish list, save hundreds of dollars. If your sleigh can't make it to Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia, shop online at shooterschoicesc.com and have it shipped down your chimney, or at least to your front door. Merry Christmas from Shooter's Choice. Your Christmas shopping spree starts with your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
What do Scarlett O'Hara, Jaws, and 1984 have in common? They're frequent examples in our story conversation on Right on SC. Join me, Casey Whitener, and my co-host Rex Hurst every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Learn more about the show at rightonsc.blog.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Service, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Hey, it's Jay with the Cigar Militia, Columbia's premium cigar store. I am here to help you. How hard is it to come up with some gift ideas for Dad? Well, first get Mom's permission and then stop by and see us. And we don't just have cigars, we have all the accessories, lighters, cutters, ashtrays. Come in and check out our huge humidor. And did I mention we also have very comfortable leather chairs that you can sit in while you enjoy your cigar or hike? We're at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard.
Hey, y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. During this holiday season, families and friends like to get together to celebrate Christmas. If you need a space to host your event or your family get-together, Flight Deck Restaurant can help. We can accommodate parties from 10 to 100, everything from setup to cleanup. Now, most importantly, during this wonderful Christmas, we at Flight Deck and our families want to thank our Father in Heaven for sending Jesus to be our Lord and Savior. Thanks, y'all, and may God bless you, and may God bless America. Merry Christmas.
Hi, this is Joel Lurie. I'm the host of Health Matters every Monday morning from 9 to 10 right here on 100.7 The Point. Join me as we talk about issues impacting your health and our community. It's Health Matters every Monday at 9 a.m. right here on The Point.
Straight down the middle. It went straight down the middle. Then it started to hook just a wee bit. And that's when my caddy lost sight of it. That little white pellet has never been found to this day.
It is time to talk about the great game of golf here in the state of South Carolina. None better to talk about it than our good friend GB3, George Bryan the third. First of all, happy holidays to you, the family. Merry Christmas. Hope everything is going well for you on the links and elsewhere.
Oh, absolutely. And it is a very special time of the year. In fact, this afternoon, it was so beautiful out, just about had it to myself. And most, in the wintertime, for whatever reason, people just don't play a whole lot of golf. I don't get it. But yesterday, I had the privilege of being a guest of one of my good friends at a very special place, Forest Lake. And I was surprised. Now, don't get me wrong, there were plenty playing out there, but there was still space available. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I'm like you. I've said before, I really like playing this time of year because I like the feel and the sound of the leaves and the twigs and the nuts under my cleats when I'm in the woods looking for my ball. That's just a great feeling to hear that crunchy sound as you're walking, through the trees into the woods trying to find your ball, and you hear that crunch, crunch, crunch. You don't get that in the spring and summer. You don't get that crunchy sound out in the woods.
Yeah, it is kind of fun finding golf balls. We got leaves and pine straw on the ground, and it's a little bit like Easter egg hunting. I love finding golf balls. Today I was out at Selena Golf Club and was just watching a couple of players, and I noticed one or two hit it in over in the woods. And even after they went by, I was finding golf balls, and I just enjoy looking around for golf balls.
Yeah.
And then I went out. Then I had to go run back and get some clubs to see how it would be to play with those golf balls. And one thing led to another, and the clock got away from me, and it was 2 or 3 hours later. I just about had the golf course there to myself again today. I just don't understand it. Where are the people?
All right, let me ask you this before we get into kind of serious stuff, but on the theme of the holiday season and Christmas and all that and gift giving, give me your top 5 golf gifts. And I'm not do not include 2 tickets to the Masters or something like that, or 2 tickets to the Heritage or another tournament in the state. I'm talking about your top 5 golf-related gifts, whether it's some type of attire or something in your bag. What would your top 5 gifts be?
Now, I got to tell you, I've been around for a while. This ain't my first rodeo and the first time I've addressed that question.
Mm-hmm.
And number one, sits at the top is golf balls. Now, you cannot go wrong. Anybody out there listening, there's no way to go wrong with golf balls. So, and I'm terrible. I just love getting golf balls still to this day. And I've been through periods where anyway, golf balls are plentiful. And just like I just mentioned, I love finding the golf balls. I found a brand new Titleist 5 today. Thing probably hadn't been struck more than once or twice. It was just fun to find.
Mm-hmm.
But golf balls, and usually if you get the golf balls, let's say you're buying a gift for somebody else, you could almost, if you don't know much about the game, wherever you're buying, just ask, hey, what are the name brands? And if you stay with one of the main name brands, usually golf shops will trade the golf balls for whatever the player preference is. Now that's not always, but okay, I got to mention some names. You can't go wrong with Titleist.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go wrong with TaylorMade. Can't go wrong with Callaway. Can't go wrong with Bridgestone. There are other balls out there that are really good, and those are some of the mainframe names. And the golf balls, that sits at the top. Also,
what do you think? What real quick, besides their branding and having some of the top names in golf pushing them in advertisements, from a performance standpoint, what makes the Titleist ball number one in golf? Is it just their legacy, or is there really something about the way the ball feels to a professional golfer?
Well, in this day and age now, this is what I have found. The different brands, all the golf balls have gotten very firm, very hard. But Titleist, for some time, I think they're one of the first ones to jump out, do the most research. Their balls seem to be preferred slightly more by the best in the world, and it's proven. I think they keep up with the stats, and there could be a little something special, but I don't mind telling you this, that most of us out there's no way you can tell a difference unless you've got club speed over. If you've got club speed with a driver over 110, 110, you can begin to tell because the ball will compress. But if you got club speed where mine hangs out, hate to say it, where yours hangs out, Phil, it's hard to tell. All the golf balls are so hard. It'd be, amongst the top lines, very difficult to tell.
Mm-hmm.
The dimple patterns, they do for some make a difference. Here's the thing about the dimples. If you don't make a good strike, you don't put the right spin on it. Therefore, you don't get much flight. So you got to put spin on it to get that ball to go ahead and soar through the air, to rise up. But on balance, Titleist's been around for a long time, and the R&D, they got some stuff figured out that some of the other companies don't. maybe they all have it now. I'm not current. I am in the 2024. It's at the top of my list to be better acquainted with technology because I got a little bit off. I'd say the width of it and the depth. It's time for me to re-educate, and I'll have more. I'll know more. Give me a quarter, 3-4 months, and a couple of trade shows, and I'll definitely be better. But Titleist has been number one for quite a while. And some of the other not that the other, Phil, you and I couldn't tell the difference in the Titleist and the Callaway that, out of the pack. Most of the we just couldn't tell the difference. On a bet, we couldn't tell the difference.
I agree.
Hey, now the cool thing is almost all the golf balls out are really, really good. And this is a buyer's tip for those that just like to save a little money. Just get the cheapest brand balls you can find. You can't hardly go wrong. And I'm telling you, most of those can't tell the difference in that one and the ones that are most expensive, the ones that are $60. $5 a ball is just too much, but they're out there at $60 a dozen. You go get the ones for $20. You can't tell the difference.
Yeah, but I'm sorry.
You can't tell the
I'm
difference.
sorry. I'm a ball snob. I mean, I don't want to play
You
Kirkland.
got to use the Titleist.
I don't want to play Kirkland. I love playing Titleist if I find one. Or I love playing Callaway. I love playing Bridgestone, but I don't want to play Kirkland, or I don't want to play throw another name out there at me. Those are the ones I like to play with. Not that it makes any difference, but I'm kind of a
Dunlop.
Nope.
Dunlop.
That's
you
a
won't
tire.
play
That's too much of a tire.
Top Flight.
Nope.
How about Top Flight?
Nope. You can get those at Kmart. I'm telling you, I'm a ball snob. I'm a ball snob. I want to play. I like to play the brand labels. So yeah, the ones that don't carry the big brands, they stay in those are my water balls, or they stay in the bag.
Hey, here's some other. So ball marks. Those are really cool. Head covers, golf towels, putter covers. Especially if you can do a little research and kind of find out caps. I love getting cool caps. And when you get into some of the cool wardrobe, the hoodies, if you know sizes, I'll tell you right now, golf bags always cool to get. Also, I'm going to move a little bit to the side. Gift certificates. If you go and you're just not sure, when you check in the golf shop, wherever you might be going, and if it's the retail, some of the big box stores, Dick's, Academy Golf, and when you check any of these stores, Coosa Golf here locally, any of the box stores, check what the conditions are with those certificates. Make sure that there's not an expiration date. Make sure they're not limitations, and that's what I'd say if you go buy a gift certificates. I love to get them because now it's like a shopping spree. So those are good. Those are good ideas. As far as golf clubs, now you're getting a little bit taking a chance if you don't know exactly the size, like the dimensions of the player, what kind of golf shaft, the weight of the golf shaft, the specific types. You could get a little risky when you get into buying golf clubs. Hey, one thing that I got last year, I got a pair of shoes. Now, the shoe, I can't say, I did not have to take these back, but if you go buy a pair of shoes for somebody, just be sure that they can exchange on size. And I tell you what, that pair of shoes, they're my favorite. And there's all kind of still golf balls number one. That's number one on the list. I love getting ball marks too.
How about this,
Go
though?
ahead.
Now, this can be a little pricey. How about, like, I don't know what the technical name for it is. I call it a distance finder. But what about one of those things, that helps you determine your distance from the flag? One of those little
Well, I was
telescope things.
heading down the road. They call them range finders.
Range finders, thank you.
Those are cool too, and they are quite pricey. And hey, this is one that I'll tell you what, the golf trips, gift certificates for rounds of golf and/or golf trips, holiday packages. I used to love getting the gift certificates for rounds of golf, especially if they're slightly out of town where you got to take a trip, maybe spend the night. That was pretty special. I think a lot of we got great resorts nearby. We got them not just on the coast, but we got some in the mountains. So go online, check it out. We have the best coastal golf anywhere in the whole world. People come from all over, and you can get. Let's see, you were just in Myrtle Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness gracious! Go ahead and from Tidewater. I was asked just the other day some of my favorite golf courses in Myrtle Beach, and I'll tell you right now, Tidewater. I think we talked about it. Tidewater up on the what I'd call mid to north side, surf club up there. Also, hey, I like Grand Harbor, and then down on the bottom part, the Reserve. Absolutely,
yeah.
I like Litchfield, the Reserve, Heritage, Caledonia, True Blue, right there in the center, Legacy. Hey, I'm a Myrtle Beach National. I like.
How about the Dunes Club?
The Dunes Club is completely awesome.
Yeah.
That's right up near the surf club.
Do you know much about what they've got going on towards preparation for their PGA Tour event this season?
I picked up bits and pieces. I think it's going to be pretty daggum special, and I've tried to find out as much as possible. Don't have much. I talked to an individual who was on one of the committees and did get a little contact info. We'll be talking more about it, but I think that will be awfully special. I don't think it's one of the protected, what do they call the, it's leaving me, the elevated event.
Yeah.
It'll be more of an open field. And I got to tell you, we had Tommy Gainey on a couple weeks ago, and I just still think there are going to be some changes going on. But before we leave the topic of the gift, that's always, I got to tell you, I'm going back to it. I don't know, 6 times I've already said it. I still love getting golf balls. Even though I got plenty, my wife would say, please don't get him any more golf balls. She's already said that to me today. You don't need any more golf balls.
Yeah. Now, now that we're back on the subject, what ball does GB4 like to play, and what ball does your other son? Gosh, drawing a blank. Golly,
George or Wesley?
Wesley, thank you. What balls do they prefer? Do they play the same brand, or they prefer different types of balls?
No, the G4 plays the Callaway, and it's the striped. I forget the I'm drawing a blank on his brand size, but name. It's got this what I call the putting stripes on it, and then Wesley, he was with Callaway. I think the contract expired, or they dropped him, and he went with Titleist. He's playing Titleist.
Okay.
So they both grew up digging in my golf bag, and my favorite golf ball of all time, I got to tell you, I love the Strata, the old Top Flight Strata. Now they don't make those anymore, but in its day, that was my favorite ball to play. And the
Wilson, don't forget the Wilson ball.
The Wilson. Oh yeah, now I tell you what, my very first set of clubs was the the Titleist FG17, the first set that I got from a gift, and the little old butter knife blades. But yeah, you're right. Wilson ball, good there. If the golf ball is at the PGA Tour level, there are only say 4 or 5 brands that they're using out there right now. TaylorMade, TaylorMade, Bridgestone, Callaway, the Titleist, and I'm leaving one out. But yeah, all those balls at that level too. And I'm just telling you, this is a fact. The tour players are not playing the same ball that we're playing out here.
No.
All right, I said it. Can't keep going on it.
Yeah.
But they don't use the same exact ball.
Yeah. The primary difference being what? If you were to cut their ball open and take one out of my bag or your bag and cut it open, what would the professional eye see as a difference?
Well, they got quality control. That's number one. The balls that the tour players will play, they go through a whole lot more culling, and they're not getting balls with deformities of any kind in them. That's number one. And I've always, when they come in different boxes, you go in the lockers, and most of the tour balls are coming in different boxes. And the ones, some of them are even wrapped, like vacuum wrapped.
Mm-hmm.
So they peel those balls out. And I don't think that's happening that much anymore, but there is a difference. And most of it has to do more with the quality control. They go through, make sure full inspection on every ball. So,
George,
it's kind of like the iron.
My favorite brand, I'd love to get your thoughts on or your review. I feel like usually what I tend to pull out of my bag, they usually got stripes down the side. I think the brand's called Range Ball.
Yeah. That's
hey, are those good?
Sometimes they got a chunk taken out of
them. Are those
them,
good to use in a regular round? I'm often wondered about that.
They're bright yellow, easy to find.
Range.
Hey, you know the real. Hey, this is the truth of it is the range balls are golf balls that don't undergo all the different levels of quality control. They make them in mass, and they just don't put them through the different levels and roundness, the way the dimple patterns are set up. So, a lot of times, especially if you're going with, and you mentioned Wilson. Wilson's got great range balls, and then the range balls just have stripes on them, and otherwise they are a quality golf ball.
They're easy to
But
find.
you can't use them. You're not allowed to use them on the golf course. That's a serious no-no.
Yeah, I was saying it all tongue in cheek, but on a more serious matter, you were talking about a lot of different great gift ideas for the golfer out there of all different skill level, ranging from kids all the way up to a seasoned vet. But two things that I can't help but notice you didn't mention, got to figure you want to at least plug a little bit. Tsunami Bar seems like a great Christmas gift for somebody, and then maybe even a round or a lesson out of the Salina Golf Club.
Are you spending George's money here? Is that what you're doing? Are you offering up things that you don't have to pay for?
Well, I thought you especially, Corn, I believe you still have the low round, the record right now at Salina. Has that been broken yet?
No. At the pitch and
scramble.
Oh, my apologies. At the scramble. Okay, so the scramble.
They won't let me anywhere near Salina.
Ah, got it. My apologies. Then I was thinking of the scramble.
Hey, I got to tell you, the golf lessons and gift packages for golf development, those are great ideas. And putting the plug in for all the golf teachers out there. The first golf gift present I gave myself, and this is a true story. I was so frustrated my freshman. I started late, so frustrated. I was 18, could not figure it out. I was on the driving range with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, one day.
Oh.
She was laughing at me, and I was shanking all the range balls into the woods. She's laughing at me, and I didn't think it was so funny, and she's just having a hoot because all my balls are going 90 degrees right into the woods at Weed Hill driving range. And the old pro at the time came walking out, and he goes, "Listen, I'm going to give you a lesson." And the first thing I said, well, and I'm not going to charge you for it. And I said, well, I'm a little suspicious. I'm a freshman in college. I know it all, And said, yeah, so why would you want to help me out for free? He goes, you're hitting all my bleep, bleep range balls in the bleep, bleep, bleep woods. And guess who the bleep, bleep, bleep has to pick the bleep, bleep, bleep up? He goes, so you going to listen to me or you done? And his name was Dick Ames. I love the man. He was my first ever golf mentor. And I'm telling you, he cured my shanks right away. And so I left there and I saved up 8 weeks of paychecks. For me, I didn't work, but in this one job, I worked 1 day a week at the Shell station, pumping gas on Elmwood and Bush River Road. And I saved up 8 checks, and I gave Mr. Averett those 8 checks for my first 10 lesson package. He gave me 10 lessons for the price of 8, and each check was it was $22 a week is what I so
and
anyway, he gave me
you felt rich like a king, didn't you?
Oh man, I was well, I took 8 weeks of paycheck from the Shell station then, and I gave it to him. I signed the back of them. And the rest of that story is that man started giving me the golf lessons, and he asked me if I wanted to come to work for him and trade out range balls. I was sick with the game. I was spending all my money up there. So anyway, I traded out golf lessons for work and hitting range balls, starting in 1979 at Weed Hill Driving Range. Now, Jimmy Kusa later took it over from Dick Averett, but anyway, I did that. So I invested in myself to start with. He eventually gave me every check back, and it actually bring me to tears if I got into it.
Well, we don't want you to get teary-eyed here as we go into the Christmas weekend, so we're going to let you wrap things up as you head off into the holidays.
Appreciate you, George.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. And hey, Merry Christmas, see 'em high, but shoot 'em low.
Thank you, George. USC Clemson wrapped up their big basketball wins. Have a great holiday, everybody. See you Tuesday.